Hello, thank you so much for joining us. As mentioned, we are WordCamp Europe global leads of the past 3 years. So today we'll be talking about what we want to see in the future of WordCamp Europe, hopefully. And we will be also exploring some shared challenges that we see come up year on year and trying to identify which ones would be great to focus on in the future when new organisers and new global leads take their place. Now, obviously, we are global leads of the past, so we can give some insight, but it's even more valuable if you all share your insights as well. So we'll be doing a short discussion between ourselves, and then we're going to ask all of you to get involved in a Q&A session for the second half of this session. So when we invite you to come and do questions, please come up to one of the mics, and you can join in the discussion as well. But first, shall we do a quick introduction of each of us? So I'll go first. My name's Tess Coughlin-Allen. I'm head of growth at Atomic Smash. We're an agency based in the UK. Yeah, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Bernhard Kau. I live in Berlin, Germany, and I work for Insight, a German WordPress agency.
Hi there. I'm Leslie Malecki. I am founder of Corner Shop Creative, which is a US-based web agency that builds WordPress websites for charities, nonprofits in the US. And I'm back in the US now. I lived in Europe for 10 years, but have moved home recently.
Hi there, my name is Moncho, José Ramón Padrón, a country manager of SiteGround in Spain, and also mentor of WordCamp Europe and super deputy in the global community team.
Hello, I'm Rocío Valdivia. I'm from Spain. I've been involved with the WordPress community since 2009. Since then, I started organizing WordCamps, and I've been part of the global community team at WordCamp Central in Automatic for the last 8 years.
My name is Taker Reijega. I live in Spain. I run an agency in the Netherlands called Level, a full-service WordPress agency.
Yes, thanks. So, shall we start the discussion by exploring some of the things that we'd like to see in the future of WordCamp Europe, and perhaps in the WordPress space more generally too? Who would like to go first?
Start. Some of the things that we have been facing, in the last years, I mean, we are just a little small representation of the previous global leads of WordCamp Europe, because this is just the last 3 years, and Jonas is missing here. Hi. Yes. One of the things that I'm especially not concerned, but I think that we have to be aware of, is to bring the new generations, the young people, to the WordPress community, to the open source values, to work, and WordCamp Europe can be an amazing door, to introduce them. So I think it's something that we need to have in mind, especially for the future events, and how can we bring that new generation that is, like in another world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. We were talking before, and I shared that I was 27 when I was a global lead, which is quite young, really. I think it's an anomaly, or it's unusual. But I think that you bring so much value by being different, right? So I could bring a different perspective, just like all types of different diversity, we can bring a different perspective and make it an even stronger event. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I'm most excited about the future of WordCamp Europe's, and really the future of any flagship WordCamp. So be that US, Asia, hopefully other continents get involved as well, is the expansion of folks who get involved and the expansion of considerations. This organization, each WordCamp being its own organization, does an incredibly thoughtful job of taking care of the people who come. So we're thoughtful about food, thoughtful about accessibility, thoughtful about diversity on stage, all of these things. And it's only getting better. Each year, it's better. And that's what I'm so excited to see, is that that thoughtfulness continue and grow.
Mm-hmm. A flagship event has its brand for itself. It's big enough, big advertisement. But I think that the truth, it could be better if we focus on meetup groups, because that's the root of everything happening in WordPress, and everything starts in a meetup group. There's a local WordCamp and people that know WordCamp Europe, WordCamp Asia, WordCamp US, because they heard something in Habitat Group, or they see something in social media. So maybe a way to do it, it's just working on the root of everything, that I think it's Habitat Groups.
Innovation is a factor as well. At the end, WordCamp Europe has been opening doors, during years, innovating, trying new things that after happening in WordCamp Europe, they have become like an example for other WordPress events in the world. So I think that keep trying innovation, but always keeping in mind that this is like a community-driven event, it's important.
Yeah, on that topic, one innovation that I really liked seeing was in WordCamp Europe that was in Berlin, the efforts for sustainability and the way we used signage and recycled signage into speaker gifts. Do you want to speak on that a bit, Bernard?
So, before... Hello? Okay. So in Berlin, we try to be really as sustainable as possible. We did it in many different ways. It began with the food, like we used single-use things for serving the foods. And then we also thought about, okay, what are the things we have to print? Like here you have lots of signage, so you're able to find the rooms. I saw that here they are using paper for like the room signs, so that's a better material than plastic. In Berlin we used lots of roll-up banners and large banners above the rooms. And from those materials, we made bags. So we recycled all of them, and we sent them to a company who employs disabled people. And they were cutting those in pieces and then making bags out of them. And I think we got like 150 different bags, and we gave them away to some contributors of other WordCamps that follow WordCamp Europe in Berlin. And this is something we really wanted to do in the future again, but when Corona hit, somehow this idea got lost, and last year we didn't do that. And this year, I think as well, we don't do that, but that might be something we can do again, and not just for WordCamp Europe, but also for other WordCamps.
When I think about what you all did in Berlin with that, and then Corona hitting and this idea of innovation, I'm really proud of how WordCamp Europe transformed during COVID. That the Porto event was put on hold, and in quite a short period of time, the whole team just refactored and said, right, we're doing it online. No problem, we got this. It was an amazing event, and then the next year, we were a little bit better at it. We had, learned from our experiences the previous year. But in terms of innovation, that was fast and necessary and entirely successful. But then to come back to Porto in person and just slide right back into being together and having that community spirit again, just incredible.
On the topic of sustainability, I think it's really important to realize as organizers that we have an example. We as a flagship event, we kind of set expectations for next events, but we also inspire the smaller, the more local meetups, the smaller WordCamps. So I would say that it is, as a global lead or as an organizer of one of the WordCamps, it's of utmost importance that you realize that you're setting an example, that you're basically maybe even, how do you say that, opening doors for other smaller WordCamps. And that's something with the sustainability. There's also a challenge because we are global leads from previous years. Next year, there's a completely new team with some people that were involved in the previous year, but maybe they don't personally carry the same values as we did in the previous year, or the same sort of thought about sustainability or about diversity or about any of the other topics that are so important for a WordCamp.
That's why it's so important to keep people from the previous years, for the next years, and sharing their knowledge to the next ones. Because even if we have a lot of documentation, and that has been like a big theme for years at WordCamp Europe, is like we organize events and we have like a minimum of documentation, but not everything. So basically, there is a lot of word to word, sharing knowledge from one to the next ones. So the role of the mentor this year is Moncho, and next year will be as well. the role of the mentor is very important. You know, it's like to keep, you know, to keep the values, to keep reminding the global leads, you know, which kind of things are like really, you know, part of the soul of these kind of events.
And also, like in terms of sustainability, at WordCamp Asia in February, there was a new channel introduced in the Make Slack for sustainability. I think the first initial reason to have that channel is more on the sustainability of the software, but sustainability goes into other things as well. So having sustainable events is another way where we can be more sustainable as a global community. And having a channel like this, and maybe in the future documentation on how to not just make your WordPress event inclusive and diverse, but also how to make it sustainable. Which are easy things you can do, and which are the ones you can do if you have more time and more like team members and maybe a larger budget. So it starts really small, but every event, even on a meetup level, they can do some things that are more sustainable.
Yeah, and speaking on sustainability, but switching the meaning slightly, when we think of, or like the longevity of WordCamp Europe, we also have to think about that transfer of knowledge and mentoring of new cities that apply, like new locations where we want to host WordCamp Europe, because that's a difficult process, the application process, and it's a challenge that they might not have been through before. So, I mean, how can we bring better sort of mentorship, do you think, into that process?
For sure, we need something like that. This is not a call for next Globals. Sorry. But it's true that every time a city is applying for being a host city, it's not a simple process. So, because the organizing team needs to take a decision on numbers, figures, and a compromise of a already former team, a team that is working in a city. The truth is that it will be really interesting receiving more applications and open the possibility of having help from the organizing team in order to follow the process and having information about how to fill in the form, what are the previous. Even we can write a really good blog post, which is okay. I think it's better to have meetings. And this is something we can do, and I think is necessary.
And I would love to say to the audience here and to anyone who is listening, if you're thinking about, hey, so a WordCamp Europe can happen in my city, of course. I mean, if you have a group of people, it doesn't have to be, because the local team doesn't have to be huge. But if there are like 4 or 5 people in your city committed, you know, to help organizing WordCamp Europe there, you know, you already have, you know, a good application. You can have a good application. We will help you, because the rest of the team of WordCamp Europe is global. It's from all around Europe, and we will, and the rest of the team takes care of most part of the work. So basically, if you have doubts, if you're wondering, if you're thinking could be a possibility, you know, just raise your hand here or later. Just stop us in the corridors, talk to us, to any organizer working here who has experience, and we will be super happy to help you, to guide you, to advise you. So we want to keep seeing WordCamp Europe in the future for many years. So we need host cities.
Mm-hmm. And I think because when we can provide that guidance and share our insights, we also give future organizers the opportunity to innovate. Like we were talking about innovation, they don't have to worry perhaps so much about some details that we've already done. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every year. We can build on from the successes of past events. And then, like I said, give people the freedom to innovate, which I think is really special, and will change the future of WordCamp Europe in beyond what they would be able to do otherwise. Okay, have people been thinking about their questions? I hope so. If you have a question, can you please walk up to the mics, and then we'll take it in turns to answer those. Lovely.
Don't be shy, we don't bite.
Thank you, this is really wonderful. My name is William Jackson. My wife and I, Aida, we were the teachers for this year's kids camp. And from our understanding and the reaction from the kids and the parents, it went very well. And we're just encouraged and excited. Thank you. to continue to do this and teach about WordPress, teach about the community, but also integrating STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, math, and the metaverse and AI and other elements. So I would like your opinion of the value that you see in continuing having a kids camp and then also expanding it from kids to youth and teens and young adults. So thank you.
I love that. That speaks to one of the initial points, actually, that you
Thank you
introduced.
so much for the amazing job that you're doing with the kids. Please, I would like to
Yeah.
really thank you. I admire your job, by the way. Thank you so much. I saw it for the first time in WordCamp San Jose in Costa Rica. So thank you first at all. I agree. You know, this kind of contribution that you're doing, I would love to see it keep expanding. So maybe training new organizers, new people in other cities. You know, we could do like a program, for example, for training other people to do this kind of workshops for kids, for young people, and to see it in more events. I think that would be amazing, especially because if one of the big issues that we're facing is how to bring the new generations here. The average of the attendees are increasing. We're getting older somehow. So we need to see more children. We need to see more teenagers sharing these values, the open source, the freedom, the open internet. So how can we share that? These kind of initiatives are so important. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about initiatives for training more people to do what you're doing right now. And thank you.
I'm doing my part. I brought my 1.5-year-old daughter. She's too young for your kids camp, but I'm sure in a couple of years she will join it.
I like to say that the first time I saw you was in San Jose in Costa Rica, 2017 or something like that. It was amazing. But not only for kids to learn something like designing a website or starting a new blog, but just for the fact they know how an event is, and what the grown-ups are doing in this time, in this case in an open source related project. And so congratulations, because you are doing something very special and you are doing very well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. And I love to think about all of this like planting seeds. Admittedly, I'm a gardener, so I think about everything related to plants. But what you're doing is planting seeds. And whether those germinate and bear fruit eventually or not, there's a value in planting them. So thank you for that. I think we plant seeds at WordCamps all the time, right? We're planting seeds of future volunteers for future organizations, future volunteers who become organizers, future volunteers who then become team leads and global leads, future seeds that are ideas for eventual camps. And this effort to train our kids, make kids welcome at these events is hugely important, and potentially, to Rocio's point, hugely important for the future of these events, that it will make it more sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. We have another question. Can I encourage anyone else who would like to ask a question to walk up to the mics, and we'll get to you next. Please go ahead.
Hi, I was a teenager a few years ago.
Yes, welcome.
Hi,
that's excellent.
Nice to meet you. I want to say a particular hi to Jose and Ocio. Nice to meet you finally. So I will have a thing or two to say about, no, just a thing. I want to be fast today. About improving the, how can we say, the age, to help people, the young people, to attend the WordCamps. Basically, I'm not a teenager. I lied before. I'm 21 now. As far as I know, I'm the most younger person in the Italian community, in the WordPress. I think that one of the reasons why WordPress community have, at least for Italy, I don't know others, but I have seen that there are places like schools, state school, that they are actually explaining how to use WordPress. But many times people doesn't really never says anything about what's behind the scenes. So I think it's important when you do a course to also talk about the WordPress community, says the teams, because otherwise it's really impossible to expect that people can say something else.
Yeah.
Second things, and I'm stopping because I know people says I'm long, and right now I'm actually long, so I'm sorry for people, is fun. I was actually in a school where people was not there for technology. It was not a technology school. And my teacher has started to explain WordPress starting by HTML and MySQL and PHP, how in general how this works. Just PHP and MySQL, just in general. But the point here is when we have an audience, maybe that's not so much expert about WordPress, or maybe they're not so much passionate. I think the most important thing is to motivate them, show them how fast and simple is contribute to that. Otherwise, I think it's quite difficult. I'm not saying to the people here, because I know people here are just general, but I hope that other people that can see this recording, they maybe can also see that. Sorry for my long discussion. Sorry for everyone.
Thank you for sharing.
Well, I like something to say. Thanks for your questions. Related to the younger people. Well, let's say maybe we need to study at what age it's important to have the first contact. No? But I think the most practical at this moment could be in schools, in, I don't know in English how to say, but in high school, universities. There are a lot of brands that we can learn from, like Cisco, Microsoft, Google, that they have presence in all schools, everywhere. Well, that's power. They have money and really big in marketing teams. For example, everyone who has an idea for a startup, maybe they have a check for Google to start with something like that, to start in an easy way. So a lot of current sponsors of WordCamp Europe are doing efforts in schools and universities. But maybe it's not enough, just only the brands. For example, hosting companies, we have normally programs for students, for universities, free hosting and things like that. But maybe it could be an effort of the marketing team of the community to start to do something related to schools, to universities. Just throwing an idea.
You want to say?
I think there's also, related to that, there's a bit of maybe a communication, marketing issue here. Like we all know about this community. We are here, and probably next year we're.
But it's a bubble.
But it's a bubble. We live in this WordPress, or WordCamp bubble, sort of. How can we break that? How can we make sure that more people know about or see it as a sort of a really open event, like going to a festival? I'm not saying this should be a festival, but for anybody that feels like, oh, I just buy a ticket and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not sure if WordCamps, with all the best intentions that we all have, that we're really showing that it's open to anyone.
I agree. I think we are in a bubble, and most part of the world doesn't know this community, the values we share, what we're doing, all the potential and everything. And we have so much work to do in that sense. But that's great at the same time, because we have so many opportunities to keep improving and to start initiatives, because many people, when we are here, the sense of any open source project is that wherever you see a bug, you can jump in to fix it. Any of us. So if you see that there is potential, for example, here, to create programs locally, regionally, globally, to start, like sharing the word about our values, our projects, and everything in schools, high school, primary schools, whatever, let's start it. If one person takes the initiative, I'm totally sure that many people will follow. I know that in the US, they started like many years ago an initiative that was something about WordPress University or something like that. Campus, WordPress Campus, I think, yeah. I don't know what is the state of that right now, but they were, the idea of that project was to bring WordPress to universities and to campus to teach in workshops and things like that, and I love it. But sometimes if there is no momentum, I don't know how it is right now, the project, but with momentum and people, willing to do something like that, sometimes you just need to start it. And I totally agree that education is key here. And if there are people enough to, to start initiatives to bring, to WordPress to the education, we can really make an impact.
Mm-hmm. And on the point about bringing more people into the process of contributing, I think it's a good idea to mention that at Contributor Day, you could go there and just have discussions and share your insights. So that's mostly what I did this weekend on Contributor Day. I joined the new diversity, equality and inclusion table, and I used most of the day discussing identifying, ways that we might be able to improve, or just acknowledging the challenges that we're facing. And I think there's real value in that. And younger people who, if they're not ready to fix a bug, they could be encouraged to come in and give their outside perspective. And that actually might help us solve a lot of key problems. I think we should move to the next question.
Yes, hello Global Leads. We have learned a lot from you in the previous years. Thank you very much. A quick note on sustainability. We are still very thoughtful on that, and there is going to be a report coming in the next days about what we did on that field. My question to you is, I would like to pick your mind on the next generation WordCamps notion, let's say. How does this affect WordCamps, WordCamp Europe? And in my mind, maybe I see a turn to a little bit more specialized events, maybe a little bit more enterprise events. Would that offend the community spirit of WordCamps? Because I would hate to see that happening. And what do you think about that?
I think we've seen in the past that WordCamp Europe in its essence hasn't really changed a lot. We've introduced new things. I mean, in the beginning in Leiden, we had 2 tracks. We had a small sponsors area. There was a contributor day, but it was really small. And then we grew to 3 tracks, and then we had the WP Cafe. First we had the tribe meetups, then WP Cafe, then in Berlin we had the wellness track, so we added new things, but in essence it was a conference with 1 contributor day and 2 or 3 tracks and workshops and all of that. So I think it's still that same focus, and it's not just like business enterprise oriented, it's the whole spectrum. My favorite talks are not the ones talking about code and design, but it's talking about people. Like yesterday we had some amazing panels and a talk about women in tech. These are the talks I want to see on a WordCamp Europe or WordCamp US or WordCamp Asia. I think the special ones that are like in discussion now by the foundation is more for local WordCamps. I don't see WordCamp Europe to become one of those experience. Maybe we can experiment in like 1 track. Let's say one of those tracks is focused on a specific niche. Let's say enterprise. We have an enterprise track or something like this. Or we have an AI track or whatever we want to have. But I think in general, it won't change that much. And for many people, WordCamp Europe is more about the community. I know so many people who don't attend a single talk, not because the talks are not great, but because they come here to meet the community and the people. We have people from, you said, 100 different countries. It's like the one event to join if you want to see all the people you know from social media in one place. And I think that won't change in the future. Maybe the schedule will change a bit. Maybe we focus from year to year on another like special group, but I think the community aspect will still be the same.
In my case, so for anyone who is not aware or of the forgiving context, the new generation of WordCamps or events that he's talking about is a new initiative and proposal that has been published in the global community team of the WordPress.org team some months ago, and basically is a proposal for encouraging organizers from all around the world to start experimenting more, innovating more with events, and trying new ideas with bringing new WordPress to more people. Getting out of this bubble and trying new stuff. So, Takis, what you're saying, I think this is a great opportunity for us to expand. We are in a great moment because after pandemic, many things has changed. The world has changed, and we need to keep evolving. And I think this is a great opportunity to say, okay, let's forget, not let's forget, but let's break, this image of what a WordPress event has to be, like a WordCamp with this format, with that format, with this topic and everything. And let's try new things. Let's get to other people. Let's get outside. Let's really, I would love to see more people saying, okay, we don't need to use even the word WordPress, but we want to bring it to people. More focus on marketing, more focus on agencies and all of this. But of course, keeping our values. That's what makes us special. That's what, keep us, all of us here,
I like to say that maybe it's because the things I'm doing on a daily basis, because of the company I'm working for and the things I do. There are some objectives to accomplish. So we want new formats. We want to change or going more to content niches, which it's perfect. But who's the target? Who's the target? What's the change? Okay, we want to change things. Not because this is not working. As you can see, this is a flagship event. It works a lot of, nationalities, a lot of people coming from all around the world. This is a succeed every year in a row. So if we want to change things, let's ask maybe why and who are
to get to more people, to get to other audiences that right now we are not getting to.
So
I think
go for them. Let's go for them.
Maybe
it's not a question of content or a question of There are many things to do, but this initiative that is already posted in the blog, it's really interesting. Good question, man.
Yeah, thank you for your question.
Thank you, and it's been great having you all in Athens. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Would you like to ask your question?
Yeah. Hello, Rodolfo from Business Bloomer. I'd like to do a little follow-up about content. Our Berlin global lead said 2,800 people come here not for the content, come here for the community, for the sponsors, for the parties, for just staying here in real life, right? And I think, though, that if I had to log an issue on WCEU WordCamp, that would be content. And I think there is an opportunity to bring people from outside WordPress if we shifted the focus onto beginners who never use WordPress, to developers who want to learn much more difficult things when they're here. And of course, the workshops are great and the 3 tracks. I love the fact you can choose. But I think if there were a vision about content, that could change things. So I'd like to know what's your plan for next year's WCEUs, and do you see content as important as sustainability and inclusions, which are so important as well? But I think content is where we need to work.
I can totally relate to that question. I brought my whole team here, basically. Developers, designers, working on enterprise level. And they need different kind of content, maybe, than that is in the different tracks. I'm not judging on the content and the tracks, but it is a mix of talks, of workshops, to cater for the largest audience possible, to make sure that everybody is able to learn something, whatever level you are, basically. But I can totally relate to the question, because if you pass that certain level, then it's just repeating the same sort of information, and how valuable is that? And that's when you end up in the hallways, chatting to other people, networking, which is equally interesting. I think the proposal of, to experiment more and to focus on different niches, different topics, maybe a topic-focused WordCamp could really solve that or help with that. What Bernard said earlier, a WordCamp Europe where parts of the tracks have themes or are more focused on a certain niche or an industry. And that's actually what's happening already this year, I think, with WordPress today, WordPress tomorrow. There's already sort of a theme that the talks were kind of selected to see if they fit within that theme on one day or the other.
As a former contenting leader, I like to say that we did that and we are doing this, inviting people from other communities or other sectors. SEO, metaverse, it's something that is happening every year. Maybe we can take the advice and do it in a more big basis, let's say, inviting more people. But every year, at least we have 1 or 2 people. It depends on every year's content leader to decide how many people we invite for around. It's true, if we only talk about WordPress or WooCommerce, there is a portion of the reality we are losing. It's true. And as a content team leader, at the beginning of every organization year, and this year also, we set as a list of objectives. No? What we want to accomplish, what's the people we want to reach. And we did in the past, inviting, for example, Aleida Solis, and SEO specialists, people from the Joomla community, from the Drupal community. We like to see people related to open source projects, but it's true, it's a way of inviting people from other sectors, industries, that can make richer the agenda. Thank you. Yeah, good advice.
And I would like to say as well that if we really want to make a change happening at Work in Europe, I would love to invite everyone to answer the survey after the event, because we have whoa, hello, sorry. Every year we check the results of the survey, and the feedback is super valuable. But if they're only saying, hey, thank you, which is awesome as well, but we need this kind of opinions and to see different point of views in order to keep improving. So please answer the survey and give us the feedback, or give the feedback to the next, organizers, to keep having these ideas. For example, if you have proposals or ideas or suggestions about, a possible other format or other way of, kind of people that we could invite or things like that, please share it, because we welcome any ideas.
And you are welcome also to join the content team leader as organizer.
Yes,
I
please.
knew that was coming.
Please apply.
Please apply and join us to improve the content of next year.
Yeah, and I will pile on and say, don't wait for the strategy to be set before you bring these topics. Submit them as a talk. Encourage other folks to submit them. Make that change happen, because that's how WordCamp happens. We're not making WordCamp. You all are making WordCamp.
We all.
So come make it.
Yeah.
I would like to stir up this conversation a little bit, because we all agree and all that. How are we going to invite people from other industries, from, interesting speakers on different topics that are not part of the WordPress community, so they don't feel that connected, they are willing to volunteer their time to be on stage? How are we going to invite them? Should we not pay speakers, or at least their travel expenses? I've been on stage. I know how much time and effort goes into preparing a talk, making sure that it, that it appeals to the public, and that it that you have a message to bring across. How are we going to solve this when we kind of want our speakers to be volunteering their time?
Extra budget.
I want to say that right now there are initiatives and companies, several companies, they sponsor some speakers who cannot afford it. As part of the Fight for the Future, well, it's not, of course, part of the program, but, many companies support the project in different ways, and some of them support economically some speakers, or, or even organizers who could not afford it otherwise. So that's an option. Maybe, other initiatives can be created in that direction?
I think we need other initiatives than that, because there's funds, you know, for underrepresented groups to pay for their travel expenses and you know, the time preparing for a talk. But at the same time, if you want to have like this pro speaker on marketing or SEO or whatever from a completely different industry, he's not gonna, how do you say that, apply for a fund or a grant somewhere to speak. No, he just wants his expenses covered.
Yeah, I faced in the past the situation of inviting someone to apply, or inviting someone directly, and of course the question is, okay, how are we going to cover the expenses or something like that? The reality is not so. Most of the things we are doing right now is for the exposure and the opportunity you have to be in front of, well, as we are right now, near of 3,000 people, and a lot of advertisement. But sometimes is that not enough. So maybe something related to the budget. Maybe if Juan is here, if Juan, no. This is the guy of the money, and he's saying no. So let's think on something else, like a sponsor for other companies. But there is always a chance to do it, and that can complete one of the questions he gave us, to inviting people from outside and how to cover this. Yeah. Thanks for your question. I saw you stand still.
Keep joining us next year.
Yeah, we have only a few minutes left, so we'll try and get through the next questions a little bit more quickly. Would you like to ask your question?
Hello, so I'm Jason Owe. I'm the sponsors team lead since last year, and I'm happy to address my question to such an experienced panel. You were talking earlier about passing on experiences and sharing common values from one global lead generation to another. I'm curious about one thing. Can you tell us a bit more about how global leads are selected, and if it was different in the past, depending on the year you were organizing the WordCamp Europe? That's all.
I've been a global lead and I have no clue how it works.
So in like the first WordCamp Europes didn't have global leads. They might have a lead organizer, and then I don't know when exactly it was. It was at least in Paris that the former local lead became the single global lead in the next year. And this continued all the way up to Berlin. Like Milan was local lead in Belgrade, and he became global lead in Berlin. And I was local lead in Berlin. I was supposed to be global lead for the next edition in Porto. And by the time I was saying I cannot do that alone, I need more people. So then we introduced having more global leads. And I cannot tell you exactly how Tess and Jonas, who is unfortunately not here with us today, how they were chosen. Oh, okay, Milan chose them. And he asked me if I would like to have them to be the other two global leads.
Basically, traditionally has been the former global leads have been selecting the next global leads based on their experience working with other team leads. So normally, the team leads of the previous years, you know, they have done a great job, you know, and you know,
management skills,
and other kind of skills. The globals select the next ones.
Maybe that's why I was not asked to pick the next global lead, because I'm not into managing at all. So I cannot tell you exactly how it works, but I mean, if someone from the organizing team wants to be global lead, they probably have to say that they want to be global lead. The same is true for team leads. I never wanted to be a team lead, but I had to be one for Berlin. And we always try to identify people from our teams to be maybe the team lead in the next year if we want to step down. And I mean, finding good team leads and finding good global leads is tough, because it's a commitment of 9 months organizing, and being a team lead or a global lead, it's even more work. Like you have easily 2 or 3 meetings a week, at least as a global lead with your teams, and then some other works as well. So it's a big commitment, and if you're willing to do that, then please step forward and announce that you are willing to do that. And if, I mean, you've been in the team for a while and you've shown that you are a great team lead, and probably other people saw that as well. So, yeah. I cannot tell you how the next global leads were chosen. I don't even know where it's going to happen, but if you see there's need for change in that process to be more transparent in how that's happening, yeah, we should definitely talk about that.
But as Bernard just said, I want to really highlight this and emphasize this. We thank our volunteers at a WordCamp Europe, and I'm sure at the other flagship WordCamps as well. We thank our volunteers for the time they've spent. We should also very carefully and purposefully thank our organizers, because that team donates many, many thousands of hours to making this event happen. So we get to come here and have fun because those folks did, on top of their full-time job, the job of making sure that this event can happen. And it is those team leads, it is the team members, it is the global leads. It is an enormous effort. And so you all deserve a big thank you for making this event happen.
Yeah,
Thank
should we
you
give a
so
round
much
of
for
applause to
bringing
the
us here.
organisers here? Thank you. Okay. We're going to have to wrap up now. I'm really sorry we can't get to additional questions from you, but we'd love to chat to you afterwards or put you in touch with other organisers, current organisers, to chat and explore the topics you want to explore. One final thing I think that we could say is that if you go to the closing remarks today, at the end of the day, there will be a call for getting involved and organising a future edition of WordCamp Europe. And if this is something that sounds interesting to you, I mean, we can all vouch for it. It's like a really amazing experience. It's really tough, but gratifying, and your skills and experience would be really well received, and we'd really like for more and more people to get involved and help pave the future of WordCamp Europe. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yes, applause. Thank you very much, all of you. Another round of applause. These people are awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.